All right, algebra video 2 for lesson 9-6 covering the quadratic formula. So, example 3, finding approximate solutions. The function shown represents the height of a frog x seconds after it jumps off a rock. How many seconds is the frog in the air before it lands on the ground? So, here's the path. So this is where the frog starts. So based off the formula, that is your y-intercept. So that means the rock starts, or the frog starts on a rock that is 0.75 feet off the ground. Okay? It jumps up and it lands here back on the ground. So remember, the x-axis is considered the ground, right? We want to find this x value, right, when it lands. Well, that's just an x-intercept. So we just want to find the x value for this x-intercept. That'll be our answer, right? Understand that this parabola does have two answers. If we extend this parabola to the left, it also has the x-intercept over here, but that's going to be a negative x value. And in word problems, there's no such thing as negative time, right? Unless you have that time machine to go backwards, we don't do that. So we're going to get two answers, but we're going to avoid the negative one and just keep the positive one. Okay? So I gave you a whole new slide to do this problem with. So we're going to go to that slide. Okay, so I'm going to use the quadratic formula to solve this for t. Now t is just our x, right? This is just x squared and x, right? So no worries. It is in standard form. So a equals negative 16, b equals 10, and c equals 0.75. Again, our quadratic formula, x equals, or t equals, right? T equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, remember I called that the discriminant, so I'm going to do that off to the side first. So to find my discriminant here, I'm going to do 10 squared minus 4 times a times c. And I would just type that in Desmos, right? Type it in all at once, see what you get. You get 148. Okay, so now when we plug this in, again, t equals or x equals t equals opposite of b. My b value is 10. The opposite of 10 is negative 10. Plus or minus the square root of 148. All over 2 times a, which is negative 16, and 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. Now, when it says approximate, there's no reason to take a look at this square root of 148. All we're going to do is we're going to type in the square root of 148 into our calculator. When you type in the square root of 148 in your calculator, I get 12.166. I must have rounded to 3 decimals. So don't worry about these square roots anymore. Right? And now I'm going to break apart this plus or minus into our two solutions. So t could equal negative 10 plus 12.166 over negative 32. And t could equal negative 10 minus 12.166 over negative 32. And you just have to type this in all at once. In my opinion, I would type in the fraction bar first, so make sure you press the question mark slash button first, and then type in the numerator and then arrow down to get to the denominator. When you do the top one with the positive, you're going to get the negative 0.068. So I round to 3 decimals. Notice it's negative. If you remember my picture, that's the negative answer that we don't keep. So then this one better be positive. So again, fraction bar first, type in the top, divide by the bottom second, you're going to get 0.693. And that is in seconds, right? Seconds, and that's our answer. Let me show you how to type this into Desmos real fast. The negative 10 minus 12.166 divided by negative 32. So we go to Desmos. So like I said, I press the question mark fraction button, get the fraction first. Negative 10 minus 12.166, arrow down, negative 32. And there's where I get 0.693. All right, so there's examples of using quadratic formula to simplify and also to approximate solutions. So now, I mentioned the discriminant, right? Let's get down and dirty with the discriminant, right? So here we go. How can you determine the number of solutions of a quadratic without solving it? We can use what's called the discriminant, right? This b squared minus 4ac. It is called the discriminant. It indicates the number of real solutions. And the reason is because it's under a square root, right? Square roots behave differently depending on the type of number inside of them, right? Now, when you do these solutions are also called roots. So that's another word, right? So, we talked about x-intercepts, solutions, zeros, they're also called roots. So we're looking for how many roots it has, how many solutions it has. So first off, if your discriminant is positive, greater than 0, positive, what this means is you're going to have a positive number inside of your square root, which means the plus or minus will still be around, and that gives you your 2 solutions. Now, what if your discriminant is 0? Well, that means you're going to have a square root of 0. Well, that is just equal to 0. And if you add 0 or subtract 0, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change. So you're only going to have one solution. You get the same solution both times. And now, if your discriminant is less than 0, now you are a negative number. And when you do plus or minus the square root of a negative number, if you try to take the square root of a negative number, it tells you it's undefined. It's a no-no. You can't do this. You can't do that. So then there are no real solutions. If you ever take Algebra 2, you're going to talk about imaginary numbers, which do allow you to have negatives inside the square root, but we're not there. So this is the discriminant breakdown, how it can do. So I have 3 examples to end showing the discriminant of each type. So example 4a, find the number of solutions here. So it gives you the graph, right? It's showing you that there are going to be 2 real solutions. So let's use the discriminant to find this. So again, you have to identify what a, b, and c are, and just use the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So my discriminant is b is negative 4 squared plus 4 times a is 1 and c is 3. Just type this in Desmos all at once, and your discriminant is equal to 16 plus 12, which is 28. 28 is... Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I did this wrong. It's minus. Sorry, I got ahead of myself, right? b squared minus 4ac. So it's 16 minus 12, which is still 4, right? That is greater than 0, so that means you'll have 2 real solutions. There we go. Now again, notice that these 2 numbers are nice numbers, right? Your 2 solutions are 1 and 3. They're not what we call irrational. They're rational numbers, and that's because 4 is a perfect square. So if your discriminant equals a perfect square, that means you're going to have rational solutions. Rational, right? Can be written as a fraction. So if your discriminant's a perfect square, that leads to rational solutions. All right, example B. Okay, so this time you notice we have 1 solution at 2. So this is 2, 0, the vertex, right? So now we're going to find our discriminant again. Discriminant equals b squared minus 4ac. Discriminant equals b is positive 4 minus 4 times a is negative 1 and c is negative 4. Again, type this into Desmos. This is 4 squared. Again, I'm going a little bit too fast, I think. B squared minus 4ac. This is 16, and this becomes minus 16, and 16 minus 16 is 0. Your discriminant is 0. When your discriminant is 0, that leads you to 1 real solution. That would be the vertex, and that would be 2, 0. When that cancels, again, this is just trying to connect some dots, right? This point is going to be the vertex. If you remember, in a standard form equation, your vertex is x has the coordinate of opposite of b over 2a. If you look at the quadratic formula, opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If this guy equals 0, then it's gone, and look what you're left with. Opposite of b over 2a. Man, all of the connections, right? Your solution is the vertex, which is the only x-intercept for this graph. Amazing, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy connections. That's why I love math. It's all connected. Okay, and then C. This one has no real solutions. It does not intersect the x-axis, so it has no real solutions. So let's prove that using the discriminant. So our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Here, b is negative 4 squared minus 4 times a is again 1. And c is 5. Type this in Desmos. 16 minus 20 is -4. That is less than 0. That's a negative number. You're going to have no real solutions. Great. All right, thanks for watching this video. Good luck with the quadratic formula and the discriminants.